It was noontime today in the center of Beijing when a man walked to the middle of the Avenue of Eternal Peace.
All right, welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass podcast. We'll say after show. So I don't know, a lot going on in the world. A lot of Palestine-Israel conflict. I guess Biden's going to maybe calm things down. He's going to make everything great. So you
He
heard
just came back.
he
He's
just
already
came
back.
back.
Yep.
Did we hear any of the anything good there? Or?
I mean, he was wanting him to, he got him to actually turn the water back on.
Oh,
so people aren't dying of dehydration. But that's about it. That's about all that's happening. Israel has not invaded Palestine yet. They're just blowing stuff up. So as the numbers stand right now, it looks like we've got about 1,300 Israelis dead, 4,562 injured, and Palestine is 3,542 dead and 13,784 injured.
Wow. So I gotta say, it's like kind of crazy to me on how we have an accounting of war of like, oh yeah, they killed exactly this number of people and whatever. It's so different than war in the past. Like, oh yeah, a whole ton of people died, whatever. Now we have like the names of every person. We're like, oh yeah, that. Did you see that girl that came back that they had?
No, I didn't. The one they released?
That they released, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looked a little rough. And we sent the carrier groups over there. They said to show support. I don't know what that really means or does.
Yeah, I don't know how having a carrier group in the Arabian Gulf, which isn't anywhere near Israel, is support. That just sounds like something to piss people off. But I mean, whatever. Everybody over there is always pissed off about something.
That does sound like that happens. Yes.
Yeah. So the hospital that got blown up. Let's touch on that real quick. So hospital parking lot. A bomb went off in a hospital parking lot. It was a big fiery explosion, which isn't typical of bombs unless it's got a lot of fuel left in the bomb when it goes off.
Oh, no, this is the one that's in Gaza, but they're not sure who really did it, is what they were saying.
Right. So the Pentagon is saying, the U.S. government is saying that it was a rocket from one of the groups in Palestine that misfired and went the wrong direction. And obviously everybody in the Middle East is losing their shit because they don't believe what the U.S. government says, which to be fair, that's reasonable.
I don't believe what the U.S. government says. Yeah. I mean, so they're calling him the big Satan, right?
Yeah.
Are we the big Satan?
Yeah, we're in trouble. I don't see how we had any involvement in this, but somehow we're the assholes here.
We're the ones responsible.
Yeah.
Well, we do feel like we need to weigh in on everything, don't we?
Yeah. And what is it? How many billions of dollars are we now? Like, there's a new package going. Was it 108 billion or something like that? Whatever. It's just money. They just print more. So that money is going to go to Ukraine, to Israel, and border security, and something else. I don't know. They're trying to get it all in one big package, and there are kids that can't afford school lunches and shit. But whatever.
Sure.
Let's spend money on bombs. That's cool. We're sending money to Israel, a country that has free healthcare and free college. Whatever, but fuck us, right? Fuck our kids.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Well, I mean, but they deserve something better, don't they, Kevin? I mean, don't they really?
Right. I mean, honestly, if you can only kill 3,000 people, you're not really doing a very good job. I mean, somebody's got to sell those bombs,
Yeah.
That's fine.
I'm looking up our interest that we're paying, and I'm seeing stuff from 2023 or whatever. It says the government spent in 2023 $659 billion in interest is what we're paying on our national debt. So that's about $2 billion a day. But I heard some kind of quote that it was like $1 billion a day now. Now, once we hit $30 trillion or something, it's crazy.
Yeah.
We're just nonstop. Like, we have no money. They said that all the taxes collected right now don't cover the interest. That's how crazy it is of how much debt we have. And I feel like we pay a lot of taxes.
I feel like I pay a lot of it. Yeah.
You know?
And that $8 billion or that $1 billion a day in interest, that ain't nothing, dude. You haven't even seen my credit card.
Right? Now, remember, Republicans are evil on January 6th, and they all went and stormed the Capitol, and everyone's like, oh, now to me, like, it was kind of weird. Like, who just goes and destroys shit? I'm like, hey, we got to pay for that. Stop.
Right.
Stop. You're hurting my tax dollars. Stop. So don't misunderstand where I come from. But this is if you're watching the YouTube, you'll see there's a video of Palestinians inside the Capitol protesting, or no, actually, no, it's Texas. Sorry, there. Palestinians inside the Capitol, pro-Palestinian U.S. citizens.
All right, they're all kind of like sitting on the floor and shit.
Yeah, it's funny because I saw some videos and it was like a super close up. You know, like, oh, whatever. I think this was supposed to be the super close up of there.
Right.
And so then it looked like crazy. And then you're like, oh, it's like a couple of people just sitting there holding hands in the middle of the room.
That's like 40 people. And it looks like they all got like a group t-shirt. You know, they printed up like, 100 t-shirts for their friends. So they all match.
I do think it's funny. They always the media always tries to paint things, in a certain light. And then you're like, oh, well, it's really not that.
Yeah.
Dallas, Texas had a pro-Palestine. This is the Texas Capitol, if you're watching the YouTube.
Okay.
And, they're out there. But no, it's free Palestine. And it's just a mess. Like, everyone's like, there is no easy answer. I can't be like, oh, yeah, they didn't get the shaft. But I know my kid listened to a bunch of podcasts and we were talking about it yesterday. And he's like, yeah, the Muslims never did anything wrong ever. And they were nothing but peace, love, and happy people. And then all of a sudden, after everybody fucked with them, then they're angry now. And I'm like, yeah, that's not really accurate.
That's not how it really works out. Yeah.
But
whatever.
Yeah, but I do worry about our education system and whatever. And I'm like, have you read the Bible? Do you see where no, because he's like, there's no history of them being, and he was saying that from 1890 to 1900, or no, was 1780 yeah, 1890 to 1900 that they were just peaceful. And I'm like, so 10 years out of 2000, yeah. A window, and I'm like, I'm not even sure that's accurate, but either way, I don't really see it. And I'm like, do you know about the Barbary pirates? Kevin, we're getting important calls.
No, we're all good.
All right. So anyway, back to reality here. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people, part of the issue is that nobody's talking about is Hamas still has 200 hostages that they've taken. Like, what's going on with them? Are you going to let them go? Like, are you just going to wait and kill them, like live stream it on their Facebook page, which apparently they did, which is kind of fucking gross. But
that is kind of
whatever,
gross.
do your nasty shit, whatever the fuck it is, and then act like you're innocent victim. But, if I was in Palestine, if I was a Palestinian, and my whole country was getting blown up because a couple of assholes, killed a bunch of people and took hostages. I don't know, dude. I feel like I'd be finding those hostages and finding these assholes that started this shit.
And be like, hey,
I'd be more pissed at them than you know what I mean? Like, what did you think was going to happen? You know what I mean? When you did this shit, what did you think the response was going to be? I don't understand it. So they've got American hostages, they've got French hostages, they've got Israeli hostages, they've got people from all over the world that are Jewish, but they're not, Israeli nationals.
Right.
And so I don't know, it just feels like a kind of a knucklehead to do something like that, killing 1,300 people and babies, women, children. I mean, honestly, like I say, kids and women.
Yes.
The truth is, if you're a dude and you're over 25, you've probably done something shitty enough that you deserve to get killed. Everybody else, though, I mean, that's kind of fucked up to mess around with kids.
Kevin, women are equal to men. You can't put them in a lesser position.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry about that.
Women have just as much of a right to be killed as men.
As men do? Yeah. They deserve it just as much.
Equal.
Yeah, I'm still not buying that. You can say feminist stuff all you want, but men are usually worse than women are.
Oh, all day. No, dude, we don't have to debate that one. I just that's the whole thing. But I guess what it comes down to is it's just one more thing that you need to kind of be prepared, because you never know when the world can change.
Right.
They actually there was a story yesterday about how they caught a bunch of Iranians coming over the U.S. border down in Mexico.
Oh yeah, they're catching them, huh?
And well, yeah, I mean, right. Like, what did they give them a green card and tell them to show up in 2030 and for their court date? And well, yeah. So
yeah, how's that work? They let them out?
I don't know. And why? Because you're Iranian, we're not gonna. But they said they were Iranian militants. But again, the media, it just seems like they slant stories to get a
militant seems like militant seems like a pretty vague word. You know what I mean? I mean, who isn't militant about something? Everybody's pissed off about something.
Militant.
I did hear somebody say it sounded like they thought it was like a gotcha, but it sounded kind of dumb. They said that Trump's border security caught 2 people that were potential terrorists, and Biden's border patrol caught 9 that were potential terrorists. And see how Biden is so much worse, but seems like Biden's caught more of them. Isn't that like?
Yeah, but Kevin, there's so many more coming through.
Is that the difference?
Whenever Democrats are in charge,
okay, that's when all the terrorists come.
That's when they all come.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you're just not understanding how that works. I don't know. Apparently, my dogs are going crazy. And
all right.
I don't know what's happening, but the world is ending. That's what I know.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what do you think, Chuck? What's your solution? We can get this hammered out in the next 5 minutes or so. What's the solution to lasting peace in the Middle East?
Oh, yeah, I'll solve it.
Yeah.
I got this in the spur of the moment. Make it glass.
I guess that would settle things, right?
Yeah.
Bomb the whole thing.
I know if you superheat sand, it turns to glass.
Yeah,
I've heard of that. That's what they always told me when I was in the military.
Yeah,
they were like, "Oh, well, this is what we need to do," and I don't know, dude. I have no idea. It's a mess.
Yeah,
there is so much hate, and there is so much hate for each other. It is completely unbelievable, and you kind of wonder, like, how is there coming back from that? The children are taught it. How many times have we seen these videos? No, I don't know if it's the select few or the million, but you see the kids that are like 7 and 12 years old. I watched a video, and all these kids are like, if I see a Jew, I'm running him over with a car. And I'm gonna stab that guy over and over. And you're like, oh, there's a little, rage.
Yep.
And yeah, it just, and people always are like, well, and people talk bad about Muslims, and you talk about, dragging people out of their houses in the communities, and that applies to both sides. People have done that to Muslim families, people have done that to Jewish. In China right now, that tons going on in China that, where they just put the Muslims in camps and are like, yeah, we don't have a Muslim problem.
Right.
And there is a lot of hatred. And I gotta say, it does seem like people are trying to be passive and let things go in general. And then every once in a while you get people who stand up and want to, bring the violence. And I honestly have no problem with dishing it right back. If somebody comes and attacks you, then it's fair game. And if you're better at being a warrior and you're more brutal and you come back with,
right. But I mean,
retaliation.
That's the difference though. Is it self-defense or is it revenge? You know what I mean? And
And then
I guess you could.
that's the argument. I mean, that's what you get from Muslim people. It's like, well, they've wronged us for so long that we're just getting revenge now. It just took us this long to get enough strength to do it.
Right, but is revenge reasonable, or you really should just defend yourself? And
again, it's back to the discussion with my kid of, is it 1,000 years old that you're pissed off about, or is it, in your lifetime? Because he's like, well, when Israel became a nation, and I'm like, dude, that was 50 years ago. It was like 65. And for you to still be angry about it now is like, well, it didn't happen in your lifetime, and the hate's never going to end if we keep, going from time to, from generations. Now I understand I have to defend my God and I have to, so it just is a mess.
Right.
And that's really what it comes down to. It's a mess.
Yeah. But well, I mean, I feel like a lot of people haven't read the New Testament, when it talks about that sort of stuff. And really that's not, you got to defend yourself and defend your, the people around you, your family, but you shouldn't be going out looking for shit to start. And, that's one of those things. It's like, they always warned us. The early founding fathers always warned us to mind your own fucking business. My mom actually taught me that. That was some of the best. Mind your business. Mind your business. And
we printed it on the U.S. penny. That's what he used to say. Mind your business.
Mind your business. And that's got to be. It's one of those things that, like, why are we getting involved in everybody else's nonsense? But at the same time, I understand, like, whatever, realpolitik or whatever they call it, where, in reality, you got to do a little bit of stuff outside to keep it away from your borders and all that sort of stuff. But, I mean, let's come up with a plan. How do you make a terrorist? How do you make they don't just aren't born and just be like, I think I should kill a bunch of people. Some people are, I guess. Some people are born.
Some people should be killed. Is that right?
Yeah. But I mean, it's one of those things. Like, there's no solution here, and certainly what's happening now isn't fixing any problems. It's only gassing things up, and people are getting more. People in other countries are getting more and more angry about it, and this could blow out of control anytime. No problem. Israel has 200 plus nuclear weapons, so I mean. Well, how serious do you want to get about it?
On it is, I hate to say it, somehow. Well, really, I mean, you could argue both sides of this war are being funded by the U.S., right? Because Iran is supporting Hamas, and we remember dropping a plane off with a butt ton of cash over in Iran. Remember, and Obama was like, "Don't worry about it. They're only going to use it for medicine and water or something." They got it, and we just.
I mean, it was their money. It wasn't our money. It was just their money that we had, that we stole, or basically. But
it's a delicate dance. But we gave them fat stacks, and they made a mess of it over there. But here's the
surprise: they didn't actually use it for medicine. Turns out, but
it's shocking.
Whatever.
Shocking. So my point is, right? So we're funding the Hamas Palestinian side of this war. We're funding the Israeli side of this war. If all this goes through Congress, we're funding the Ukrainian war,
right?
And all this stuff, and we have no money, and we're sending tons of military gear over there to Ukraine, not
to Israel yet.
But we're sending over stuff to support the Middle East. We're not giving it to the Israelis. We're giving it to the Ukrainians. We're giving them tons of our equipment. I know I was watching a video about the Russians capturing Abrams tanks and being like, yeah, we went through these. They're all pieces of crap. here are the weaknesses, and here's what you could do to destroy them. Now, we've always seen Russia propaganda that, they just say stuff, but I bet I'm sure whatever they're saying, that the weaknesses are probably legitimate. Who knows? Bottom line is, we're getting super extended, and I think the rest of the world is seeing it. And I think you're naive to think that Russia or China or whatever would not want to capitalize on these things. And I don't mean by necessarily attacking us, but maybe it's time China takes Taiwan.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time that Russia just says, you know what, you're not going to do anything if we take more land because you're overextended and you can't go any further. These are the things that really could happen. And our economy, our money supply is so depleted right now. Our credibility of, being able to spend money is so worn down that it could really backfire on us. We could really find ourselves in a bad position. Forget the whole inflation and everything else that's destroying our country. And there's no doubt that it's going to have significant consequences in our quality of life, how hard we have to work. I mean, could you imagine the fantasy of a single income earner in your family working 40 hours? Who's living on that now?
Yeah. It's not possible anymore.
Yet somehow 70 years ago or whatever, in the 50s,
that was standard.
That
was normal. Mom stayed home, took care of the kids, and dad went to work.
Everybody hung out.
Yep.
And so how are we that far away from it that our quality of life is, and to be honest, they didn't have all the fancy gadgets and the technology, but okay, dude,
what does that mean?
Could just hang out and watch the boob tube and and play with the kids in the backyard all day and 40 hours a week and then cocktails in the evening. Come on.
Yeah.
I want to go back to that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like a lot of boomers, I hear a lot of boomers saying stuff like, kids today are so spoiled and they don't understand. Nobody wants to work, blah, blah, blah.
They're working nonstop.
They're working nonstop. These kids are these kids started out, like millennials started out with 9/11, major terrorist attack. They have no idea what America was like before that, which, two major economic collapses, 2 20-year wars. Like, they haven't had the best fucking go of it. You know what I mean? No. Talk shit about millennials all you want. Their fucking lives are a shit show compared to what boomers were doing in the 60s.
Right. And they have phones and whatever for babysitters, so that's not doing them any favors, or the tablet or whatever.
Right.
But it's an ugly world out there. And I'm just saying, it's not getting easier. And you'd think the more as we get smarter and progress as a society, things would evolve into better. Like you watch the Jetsons or whatever, and they're like, yep, I push a button and the world, goes on. But I mean, my job, I don't work that hard. It's funny. I had a buddy who does kind of what I do. And he's working and he's like, yeah, I just took another extra job. And he's for 30 and basically he's like, yeah, I'm making over 30 and 13 at AutoZone. He goes, I work 5 times harder at AutoZone. Doing stuff. They have me running and hustling every second. Right. And he's like, it's killing me. He's like, I don't know if I'm going to last or make it, And I'm like, yeah. So dude, people are still working hard. If you're doing the $10, $15 an hour job, it's hard.
You're working your ass off. Yeah.
Is my understanding. Like it's funny. The higher up you get, I mean, that's,
the less work you gotta do.
I think I'm kind of in this sweet spot where if I went into management or something like that, I'd have to go kiss ass all day in meetings. And that sounds exhausting.
That sounds
and
terrible.
Anywhere below me is doing, working nonstop, focused, whatever. Whereas I feel like I'm in that sweet spot of, I do thinking, but I have managers who, are accountable for everything. So I can just, I'm good.
Just do what you got to do.
Yeah. That's where we all want to be.
All right. Unfortunately, I got to wrap it up.
It sounds like it. I hear your
Yep.
alarm going off every 2 minutes.
Yep.
So, with that, you guys, questions, concerns, email us preppingbadass@gmail.com. You may want to check out the Facebook group, Prepping Badass, and see if you can join us there. But anyway, we you guys sticking with us. And with that, stay safe, and we will talk to you guys next week.
All right.
I didn't end.